Fox News is America's election headquarters. In less than 24 hours, the Republican voters head to the polls in Louisiana's primary. Rick Santorum hoping to take another southern state after big victories in Mississippi and Alabama, reinforcing his case, he says, for staying in the race as an alternative to frontrunner Mitt Romney. The latest Real Clear Politics average of the polls on Louisiana gives him a solid 10-point lead over Romney. But there are questions about whether Santorum can keep racking up victories as the race moves north. Let's talk about it with Stephen Hayes, a senior writer for the Weekly Standard and a Fox News contributor. I know you've just spoken to Mitt Romney. He must be aware, obviously, of the polls in Louisiana. What if he doesn't win that race?
Yeah, look, I don't think that the Romney campaign has any expectation that he would win down there necessarily. And as you point out, John, they're looking north. They're looking to places like Maryland, Washington, D.C., Wisconsin, which is certainly going to be competitive on April 3rd. And then beyond that, to other northern states where the Romney campaign team thinks that they're doing well. This is a good state for Rick Santorum. It sets up nicely for him. Lots of Catholic voters, lots of pro-life voters down there, and I think that's reflected in the Real Clear Politics average, which, as you say, is 10 points, and several of the recent polls have had him with a double-digit lead down in Louisiana.
He has been critical of Mitt Romney, especially on that Etch-a-Sketch comment that a Romney surrogate, a Romney campaign official made. I want to play that for our viewers and then get your reaction.
Win by giving people a choice. You win by giving people the opportunity to see a different vision for our country, not someone who's just going to be a little different than the person in there. If they're going to be a little different, we might as well stay with what we have instead of taking a risk of what may be the Etch-a-Sketch candidate for the future.
He seemed to say there, Stephen, that you might as well vote for Barack Obama if Mitt Romney becomes the nominee. Is that what he meant?
Well, his campaign will say he was talking about the reaction of voters, but it certainly, if you just take his words literally, certainly sounds like he was saying there is no difference whatsoever between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, which is a monumentally stupid thing to say. I mean, clearly there are major differences between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. Even if you are a conservative and you have some reservations about Mitt Romney and about the possibility that he could be this Etch-a-Sketch candidate that Rick Santorum talks about, to suggest that there's no difference between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, I think, goes well beyond where most primary Republican voters are likely to be right now. And I think you could see a real backlash from this comment if primary Republican voters are taking this as I think most people are. You could see some pushback on this.
Well, even Newt Gingrich came out with a tweet after hearing those remarks and said any of the GOP candidates would be better than Barack Obama. Where does Newt Gingrich figure into this Louisiana primary?
Well, I don't think he figures in very much. I mean, I think, he's not doing very well. He's been in single digits in many of the recent contests. He's hoping for a Santorum explosion so that he could perhaps come back and once again try to reestablish himself as the conservative alternative to Mitt Romney. He himself has said, he's hoping for a 9th or 10th reset in this race so that he can be a viable candidate again. I think that's unlikely.
I know that you talked with Mitt Romney about possible vice presidential candidates, assuming he gets the nomination. What did he tell you?
Well, it was interesting. He had given an interview to Charlie Sykes, a talk radio host in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, yesterday morning, and Charlie Sykes suggested that both Paul Ryan and Marco Rubio might be good candidates and assumed that they would be on Mitt Romney's list. And Romney said to me, I haven't begun the vetting process. I don't even know who's going to be doing the vice presidential vetting for me. Any candidate who is going to be the nominee would have a very long list of potential vice presidential candidates. But he did say one thing that I thought was interesting. I asked him if that long list of his would include a pro-choice candidate, and he said, in one word, no.
Interesting. Stephen Hayes from the Weekly Standard. Steve, thank you.
Thanks, John.